Let's talk about, dun dun dun, the dreaded weight loss plateau. All dieters at some point will face a stall in their weight loss. This is totally natural and no cause for alarm, but there are some amazing ways that you can actually overcome it and keep dropping the pounds and slimming down. In this video, I'm gonna share with you a bunch of proven techniques and ideas. So let's go. The majority of time, when we say we've plateaued, we actually haven't. A true potential plateau is no weight loss and no body composition shifts for about 4 to 6 weeks. So if you haven't dropped pounds on the scale for 1 to 2 weeks, then you haven't plateaued. This is simply your body getting used to all the changes it has undergone. Hormones are rebalancing, fluid is shifting. The shorter weight loss stalls could be due to shifts in medications, menstrual cycles, stress increases, and other health conditions. But despite this, you're still likely to see shifts in body composition in the right direction, even if total pounds haven't dropped. Remember that fat loss is so much more than the number on the scale. The number one most common cause of a plateau, from my experience, is mental and emotional. I swear, like 98% of plateaus come from the mind. You've got to take a deep look at what a lower weight means to you. Can you visualize it? Can you see it like it's a reality? Do you have any fear associated with your body entering into this new state? If you're in a fear mindset, then your body isn't going to move through until you've shifted your story. Let's take a look at the 5 mental blocks that are most often associated with the weight loss plateau. Number 1 is fear of getting to a lower weight, and trauma can often be associated with this lower weight. For example, maybe your current weight is safe and it's used as a protective mechanism. This weight can act as a way to hide. Subconsciously, if you don't actually want to drop more weight, even if rationally it seems right, your body's not going to be able to go there. Why would you want to drop weight if mentally and emotionally it puts you at risk? I have a client, Joy, and I met with her a few years ago, and she knew that she needed to drop about 80 pounds to enter into her body where she would be healthy and feel most comfortable. And she dropped 50 pounds no problem, and she had to struggle with those last 30 pounds. And she talked to me about it, mentioning that when she was at this leaner weight, her goal weight, that she had a lot of unhealthy attention from men. She had some trauma associated with it, which I understand is so significant and a huge deal. And she associated this lower weight with the trauma that she experienced. And she then understood subconsciously that her body was protecting herself from getting down to this weight with fear that she would experience the same unhealthy, traumatic type of attention. So she had to seek outside support and get someone to help her break free from this trauma and the emotions that were just locked inside of her body. Once she was able to work through that and release all of the fear and the negative emotions of her past, she was able to drop the remaining 30 pounds effortlessly, just like the first 50. The second mental block is that a lower weight is associated with something unpleasant from the past. So I know this is kind of similar to the last one, but it's a little bit different. Let's say right now you're at 160 pounds and 140 pounds is your ideal weight, and you're just really struggling getting there, and you know that 140 pounds is associated with something unpleasant from your past. I would dive deeper down in your story, and often I would hear something like, well, once I was 140 pounds, but I looked so sick, and I was actually so sick I had a really bad health scare. Or maybe I was 140 pounds when my husband died. That was a terrible time in my life. Or once I was 140 pounds and I got there due to a divorce and I didn't eat and it was really traumatic. Or I was once 140 pounds when I did HCG, but I looked and I felt terrible, and then I gained it all back and I felt like a failure and was full of shame and guilt and unworthiness. I never want that to happen again. These are all reasons why you're going to struggle to get from this 160 down to this 140. And you have to break the story, break the cycle, break the emotions of the past that were associated with this weight so that your subconscious will actually allow this excess fat to release. I had a story just like this with a client of mine from 5 years ago. Her name is Kathleen, and she knew that 140 pounds was right where she needed to be, but she just could not bust through those last 20 pounds. So I asked her, from your past, is there anything negative associated with that 140? When was the last time you were at 140? And she told me that it was when the love of her life, her husband of 50 years, passed away. It was so traumatic to her that she just burst out into tears, and she said she wants to have nothing to do with that time in her life. That's why she couldn't bust through, is because her subconscious was preventing her from getting to something that was negative. So for Kathleen, we had to rewrite her story. She did the deep work. I'm so happy to say that Kathleen was able to rewrite the negative stories associated with that leaner and actual healthy weight for her. She was able to let go of the 20 pounds much more effortlessly, and today, about 6 years later, she's maintained within a pound. The third mental block is that you don't believe you're going to actually reach that optimal weight. If you've never experienced your optimal weight before, or maybe you've been there, but it was so long ago, it was in a different lifetime. If you think you can't, or you think you can, you're right. Remember that. I had a client, John, and all he had left was 10 pounds to drop. And it was just week after week, and he was not dropping the pounds. So I talked with him and I said, hey, John, can you imagine yourself achieving this optimal weight? Can you see it? Can you believe it in your mind as a reality? If you close your eyes, can you picture it? Can you feel it? And he couldn't. He was just stuck visually in his mind 10 pounds heavier. So I told him that week, all I wanted him to do was to picture it, feel it, visualize it, make it a reality. Before he went to sleep, he had to close his eyes. It was my homework assignment. He would hear my voice in his head. Close your eyes and picture what that weight looks and feels like. And I will tell you that he came back, and that week he said he did nothing different, and he dropped 6 pounds. Amazing, right? The fourth block is really similar, but here is if you believe it, but you can't actually visualize it. If I were to say to picture yourself at 180 pounds and you close your eyes and you can't see it, maybe there's an image of yourself at 200 pounds that pops up instead, or maybe it's an empty black vision field that appears. This is gonna be a problem. You've got to visualize your new identity before you can step into it. So here, I would suggest that if you ever have been at that leaner weight, to find a picture of yourself and put it up there and see yourself. If not, then find a picture of someone who looks similar to you at that ideal weight and picture it as yourself, and just keep practicing and practicing, but you've got to be able to close your eyes and see yourself as if it's already a reality. The fifth mental block, and this is so common, is that you're manifesting the plateau rather than the weight loss. And this happens out of a combo of the above items. But if this is for you, you'll hear yourself say, I never can make it past this weight, darn it. I always get stuck here. I knew it. I told you I'm gonna be this weight forever. You fear the plateau, and you feared it before you even got started on your weight loss journey. You beat yourself up, you stress, you weigh yourself every day, which is not good advice, and you say that the plan isn't working, and you knew that this was going to be the case. You'll tell yourself that you're working so hard, but you see no results. Well, guess what? You proved yourself right, and you manifested it to be so. Your talk is reinstating the plateau. Remember that where your focus goes, your energy flows. If you believe in the law of attraction, that we manifest where we place our energy, then you are simply attracting the plateau, and it's gonna stay there as long as that's where your focus stays. So now that you know the mental blocks that commonly come up, I wanna teach you how to overcome them. So first, you need to let go of the emotions tied to the weight. Believe, visualize, and talk to yourself with words that encourage your success. If the reason for your plateau is not mental and emotional, but remember about 98% of them are, so don't discount that first section, then check out these options below. First, you need to make sure that your meal plan is nutritionally sound. Maybe you need some more help on the macros, where your carbs are, your proteins, your fats. Make sure that you're not severely restricting calories and make sure that that plan is really nutritionally sound, and ask yourself, are you following it 100% precisely? You could be eating too many carbs for your unique body. If you have dropped carbs in the past, maybe you're letting them creep back in. You could be not eating enough protein or eating too much protein, because both can stall your weight loss. You could be eating too little fat or too much fat. Same thing goes. I always say that there are 4 macronutrients: carb, protein, fat, and meal timing. So you've got to think about when you're eating and when you're not eating. If you've been dabbling with fasting for a long time, perhaps that's no longer the best tactic for you, or maybe you need to switch it up a tiny bit. Remember that you need about 12 hours in between your dinner meal and your breakfast meal, so make sure you're getting that in there. Drinking enough water is the key. Consider the type of movement that you're doing, making sure that you're getting up and moving at least 30 minutes every day. You want to avoid chronic cardio, getting on the Peloton bike for hours or running on the elliptical machine, and making sure you're doing the type of exercise that promotes fat burn and muscle mass, which includes lifting something heavy, some resistance training, and maybe some high intensity interval training. And then lastly, make sure you're sleeping enough. The key to successful weight loss and maintenance and busting through plateaus is getting at least 7 to 8 hours, probably more, every night. If you're working so hard and you're still stuck and your weight loss isn't going anywhere, click the link below, because it shouldn't be that way. Most of our men drop about 3 to 5 pounds a week on average, and most of our women about 2 to 3. So if you're not seeing that level of weight loss and that's your goal, reach out and we'll get you going. I know plateaus are tricky and they're no fun, but I want you to give yourself a hug. Stop beating yourself up and let go of the fear of a plateau and shift yourself into a mindset of faith, confidence, and belief that your body is shedding this excess fat weight and will continue to do so consistently and with ease. Now you're totally ready to overcome your weight loss stall. But what happens after? Once you reach your ideal weight, how will you be able to keep it off and not regain the pounds you lost? Don't worry, I got you. Here in this video, I'm going to share my 7 best practices to help you maintain your weight loss by implementing specific practices and habits. Your way to a healthy lifestyle and body starts in the next video.